What's going on, gamers? Here we are with some more Outriders, and today I'm going to be going over my thoughts of some things that I would like to see implemented in the game. A few of them will be my own personal choices, but some things that I think will really help Outriders. It will make it better currently, and it will just improve the game overall. So if you want to see what I think will definitely help Outriders if they can implement it in the game, then that's coming up next. Welcome back all you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, and of course a lot more Outriders along the way, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for today I'm here to tell you a few of my ideas, a few things that I think could be chucked into the game to really help it along. Now I believe that People Can Fly have done an absolutely amazing job. They had a bit of a wonky start, I want to say, and even that the game itself is not perfect, not by a long shot, but I think overall they've done a pretty good job. Now, as you make your way through Enoch, as you absolutely devastate the campaign, and as you make it into endgame, there's a few things that you notice about it, and there's a few things that are kind of lacking within the game. Now, for myself, there's one thing that I would definitely love to see, and that is this right here. Give us loadouts. We need a way to kind of favourite our favourite items, basically make sure we're not going to dismantle them. We need a way to change between gear sets. We need a way to not have to kind of leave everything over here or in our stash and randomly switch it on and off, which takes an absolute age, and you can dismantle stuff accidentally, you can lose stuff. Having loadouts where you could just keep your selected items, so for example all of these right here, all 5, and all of these right here, these 3 could be on loadout 1. Then you would click to loadout 2 and I would change from my anomaly power build to my firepower build. I just feel loadouts in a game such as this that is completely designed around kind of building and making sure that you've got the exact type that you want for each activity. So for example, if I went into one area as a devastator, if I went into one where the enemy I knew was going to be all kind of straightforward, right in my face, melee based, then I'm not going to bother with reflect bullets. But then I might be switching it up and going on to another one such as Boomtown or something where they're going to be shooting at me from a lot of distance, and I may well want to switch it up and have that one on my bar. So I think loadouts is definitely something that they need to chuck into the game, and something that will just absolutely help you in abundance to kind of have a bit of variety in your game and not just stick to one playstyle because you don't want to swap things in and out constantly. Right, next up, and just here, things such as this. So if we look at this one right here, one of my favourite guns in the game, the Imploder. Now this looks like an absolute beast, it is amazing to look at, but one thing they need to do, they need to make legendaries legendary. A lot of times with weapons and also with your armour, so for example if I come over to here, just here I've got the helmet of the Akari. A lot of times you have to go and pick 3 out of the 5 pieces to get the actual 3-piece bonus. Now that's all well and good, but most times you have to have the exact set. A lot of the things have either anomaly power, firepower, or max health. The ones that have max health in this game do not help you in the slightest, not unless there's a build that I haven't thought about yet with the Devastator or something along those lines, but as far as I can see, really sought after will be anomaly or firepower, and max health will just get kicked to the side. It's why at the very start of the game you're going to basically be using purple gear and dismantling most of your kind of legendary stuff and probably putting it on your purples until you can get that really nice set piece that you want. But yeah, they need to think of a way to make legendaries legendary. I think they should either have slightly higher stats, which might break the game, so that may never happen, or maybe the ability to change both of their mods. So if you could have it so that you could put 2 mods on rather than just the 1, or change them both up a sorts, that may well help out. They need to make it so that you can do something with them. Either that or the fact that their top one over here, like I said on this one, is anomaly power. If for example I went to this one right here, which was anomaly, if I change to the gloves just over here, this one is max health. Maybe you should be able to change that to whatever you want. Maybe firepower, maybe anomaly. You'll switch it up and decide on your legendaries, but they need something to make legendaries really worthy of that name, as quite a lot of the gear sets aren't. aren't quite as amazing as you'd think, and you pretty much just tend to stick to one that stands out over the rest of them. Now, one more thing that I would love to see, and this is almost definitely just personal preference, another class put into the game. And for myself, I'm going to say definitely a summoner class. If you could find a class that would just summon some of the life from Enoch, or basically create something yourself, a little pet by your side, or more than one, that goes around attacking the enemies, I feel like that would be absolutely amazing, and I feel like it would just go really well with this actual game. For myself, I have always liked pet builds. I have always really enjoyed summoner builds. I think if we could make one of those in this game further down the line with a bit of DLC, I really think that would be a great class to add, and it would just be a lot of fun. Just watching all of your minions going around absolutely devastating your foes, it'd just be something you could really enjoy to watch, and maybe you could even summon one kind of elite. I really feel like that could be a great class to have in this game, and hopefully they implement something like this in further DLC. And next up, and this one, it's not a gripe, but I'm not having a moan, but they do need to make it so that people want to play multiplayer. At the moment, currently, when you play single player, you will have faster clear times, you will not have as many issues, you will just absolutely batter everything because they've got less health and don't hit you as hard. They need a reason to play multiplayer. Now, currently there's a lot of things going on in the community. I have no idea why, but for some reason there's a big thing at the moment where people are kicking other people right at the end just before they can claim their loot. That is absolutely atrocious, it's horrible, and it's just going to make things worse. It's going to make people not want to play multiplayer. And games like this, that would be a big shame, because you should be linking your skills together. You should be finding nice combos. You should be playing with your friends or just people online and just having a fun time. And things like that really just kind of drag games like this down. There's no need for it. I don't think we should do it. Obviously, if someone has a reason to kick someone, very well likely they could do it and just go ahead. But to do it right at the end, when you've got through everything, probably best off do it nearer the start, in my opinion. Now, that's not to take anything away from the single player experience, because to be perfectly honest, this game is really good single player. So if you do enjoy just playing solo, it is well worth your time. However, I do feel that they have kind of made it so a lot of people are playing singly or solo just because there's a few more issues when you're playing in a team, and that shouldn't really be the case. And fingers crossed they iron out the kinks so that if you do enjoy playing multiplayer rather than just solo, it won't be a hindrance to you and the experience will be overall really enjoyable. But not just that, there's no real incentive to play multiplayer. You don't get any additional drops, you don't get any more loot chance, you don't really get much out of it. Obviously you do get the fun of playing with your friends, so that is really good, and for me that is easily enough. But in a lot of games there does tend to be a kind of underlying bonus, usually where the loot drop is going to be slightly higher because the enemies you're facing are themselves a little bit tougher. Also, one reason why people aren't playing multiplayer is because it has its issues. At the moment it's currently quite hard to connect to people. Sometimes you've got to back out and go into the lobby again because you can't connect whatsoever. Even on your friends list it's a bit of a chore sometimes. There's also times when you get connection errors in it, you get kicked out, the host gets kicked out, you lose all your progress, you've got to start again. And not only that, one of the most annoying things for myself is definitely that even when you are playing, if you're not the host, on certain classes such as the Devastator class, and I believe also with the Trickster has a few issues, when you teleport to something with the Trickster, or for myself when I'm using my Devastator, I really like the leap, you just can't tend to use it in multiplayer. If you're hosting, everything is fine. If you're playing single player, everything is completely perfect. If you are not host and you join someone else's game as a Devastator and you go in with your leap, you are going to end up smashing down on the ground and being frozen in place for around about 2 to 3 seconds. It's not game breaking, but is it annoying, and can it mean you die, and can it mean that you lose a lot of time in your runs? Yes to all of the above. So for me, I really think they need to find a way to sort out some of the issues with multiplayer to make people want to play as a team and to make people have a lot more fun, and maybe to increase that loot chance or do something so that there's some more incentive to play as multiplayer rather than to try and smash through everything single player and eventually probably get a little bit bored. So finally, for me, I think this one would be absolutely amazing, and remember, all of this is just my own personal preferences, but I feel like the Eye of the Storm, the endgame, isn't quite enough. People have now done it in under 3 minutes, I believe, or around the 3-minute mark. They've absolutely smashed it. It doesn't seem like a complete endgame activity to me. I think what they need more than anything is this right here. Now, obviously, I don't mean they need to implement something exactly the same as this, but could they quite easily implement a horde mode in this game? Yes, I think they very well could. It would basically be like a monster hunt, but instead of that, hordes and waves of enemies. They could call it something completely different. We would all know it is very similar to horde mode, and it's something that it would keep people playing. Horde is absolutely amazing on Gears of War, and it is so much fun, and they could easily put something like that in this game. If you were playing with your friends, there would be a reason to have different builds on. There would be a reason to mix things up. There might even be a reason to put on some defensive mods for once, which would be really nice to see, because at the moment they're all kind of chucked straight in your trash because you just can't afford to put them on because you're not going to be able to clear fast enough. If you played horde mode or something similar, a wave mode in this, where absolutely tons of enemies are coming after you and you have to defeat them, they could make it so that it's a timed thing, or hopefully even not a time thing, you've just got to clear the waves. I feel like that would be really fun, and I think in general it would just make it so that the longevity of the game would absolutely go through the roof. You wouldn't be getting as bored of stuff, you wouldn't be doing the same runs, and horde modes on pretty much any game where you've got them always seem to be an absolute winner. There's nothing better than surviving a massive amount of enemies coming at you, and then right at the end having to face off against a big baddie that you really have to struggle against, and when you take it down you feel that certain achievement. Also, it could mean that you could get special gear or something that's worthwhile the further you get up in the waves. So for example, marker points such as wave 10 will mean you're going to earn this, wave 20 will mean you're going to earn that. It could be a really nice way of getting certain things that you don't have, so say for example set pieces, or just a really nice weapon, or just something new that you cannot get anywhere else. In my opinion, some kind of an enemy wave mode, a horde mode of sorts, will absolutely make this game much more playable for a much longer time, and it will be a heap of fun. Right, well you guys and girls, that's just my 2 cents for today. It's things that I think will really help the game if they can chuck it in at some point, because, well, let's face it, there's a really good starting point for Outriders. They've got some things to sort out, but if they can implement things further down the line, and if they're staying on top of it, which it looks like they're trying to do because they're very active with their patches and stuff, then they could make this game an absolute winner that could be around for quite some time, or instead spawn a sequel or even more. So fingers crossed, they're looking at things such as this, they're looking at ways to improve the game, and they're going to make things even better for the future. But as always guys and girls, that's just my thoughts. Take care, I'll see you on next day.